Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing just great. So today's video is going to be about the Gibson Standard HP-4, which has some electronic problems that Gibson knows about, but did they ever do anything about it to fix it? And from what I've been seeing, well, it's kind of up to you, and in this video it's going to be up to me to fix this problem. But first I want to try the no hum. This goes in line with your amplifier and is supposed to cut out whatever electrical noise that you have that comes through the amp. So I'm going to see how this works first. So here is the amp that I'll be using. This is a Boss Katana. This is the 50 watter. Nothing really special about it. 12-inch driver. Sounds pretty good, works pretty nice, but you get a little bit of a hum. So right now the guitar is unplugged. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Alright, so let's turn the amp on. Yep, she makes noise. Alright, so I turn the amp off and let's plug in the no hum. Alright, so the no hum has an LED light that lights up when it's plugged in. And let's try this test again. Oh, I'm still having some buzz. Now, is that because of my amp or because of the guitar? Well, let's take a look at it. So in previous videos, I took a look at Gibson's HP-4 circuit and then looked at the back of it, at all the solder joints, to see if anything looked a little bit iffy, and resoldered them. I shielded the cavity for the control, and that didn't help. I also looked at the output jack, and that didn't help the noise problem. I also tested all the grounds, but I missed one thing. If you notice right where it says standard, you can see that there is a plug in that area, and there are 5 wires going to it. You have a black, green, red, white, and black again. Well, the 2 blacks are grounds, okay? And then you have your wire going from the pickups to the switch, and then from the switch back over to the circuit board, and then it runs through the circuit and back out your output jack. So let's follow that wire all the way over here. So alright, so if you can kind of see inside there, if I give it a little bit of light, maybe it might brighten up things. So if you kind of see inside there, well, there's a green wire that's connected, you got a red, you got a white, and then you have your ground that's connected to the center post. But you hear that noise? It's picking up the phone. Pretty sensitive, huh? So if I touch the plug back here, kind of hear that it changes the noise coming from the amp. Now I can touch, here's the pickup, here's the other pickup, but here is that 3-way switch. Here's the ground wire coming off your bridge. I could touch that. I could touch the shielding tape that I put around, which I'm going to replace that and use the copper tape, since some people complain that the shielding tape, the silver, really is crap and the copper is better. So I'll switch it over just to make everybody happy. So if I go over to the 3-way switch and put my hand over it, you kind of hear that noise change. Well, here's a closer look of what's going on inside of the cavity where the 3-way switch is. So if you can kind of see, and I'm going to shut this amp off while I'm talking, if you can kind of see inside there that, well, there are some wires that are just stranded inside of the cavity that are not connected to anything. And they're just kind of hanging around there, just doing nothing. Well, That's part of the wire grounding and shielding of the harness that goes from the control cavity to the. So now that I have the right shielding tape, time to start taking this thing apart. Remove the strings, remove the electronics, remove the controls, remove the three-way switch. Take that three-way switch and ground that wire that is the shielding wire for the whole harness and see if that makes a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and start stripping this thing out. You can watch fast forward if you want. So if you ever wondered what it said underneath the bridge of the 2019 Gibson Standard, advanced plating is what it says. Alright, so the back of the pickups, patent applied for, Lead Pro, and it gives a model number, and then a date, 01, 07, 19. On the back of the neck pickup, it says RHY, probably Rhythm Pro, model number, and then again a date, 01, 07, 19. So here's the possible culprit right here. These wires are not connected to anything. You have the ground. There's 4 wires that are running through. They're all shielded. And then you have the one ground over here that is not. But then again, you got 2 grounds on the back of the plug. Now I want to remove this shielding tape. Alright, so that's cleaned out. Top is all cleaned out. You see the thick cap that's on here of the flame maple. Now there says B9 with an X inside here, and then it says LP, maybe a 5 or an S, 19. So now would be a good time to go ahead and reshield the inside of that cavity. When I do my shielding, if I can get away with just shielding everything without adding any jumper wires going from one cavity to another cavity, I'm going to do so, which means it's a little bit harder to do, especially with something like this, and not being able to remove a pick guard or anything like that to where I can get access to the cavities really easily. So in this case here, what I do is I take the shielding tape and I fold it long ways, so I got to strip this, so about maybe this long, and I kind of seam it in the middle and fold it and just work it in very slowly in through the channels that go from one point to the other point to the other point to the other point, getting them to connect just only with the shielding tape itself. So right now, if I take my continuity tester, turn this on, now it's going to be a very faint beep that you hear. That's the only thing I don't like. This is it doesn't, not very loud. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the two here. And you should hear kind of a beeping sound. So if I connect this to this cavity, I'm getting a beep. So if I go ahead and flip this over, because I did connect the pickup cavities, if I go into the three-way switch cavity, continuity, 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 and if I go ahead and connect on the inside of the neck pickup, I'm getting continuity. So that's telling me right there that I have a connection between each chamber or cavity, and that's going to be shielded really nice, so I'm not going to have any issues, or shouldn't have any issues with any type of noise. And I also try to kind of shield it inside of here a little bit. That way it kind of stops any noise maybe coming in from putting your arms there, or any lighting or certain types of RF noises that are in the air that the guitar is going to be really sensitive to pick up. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on the three-way switch and get that ground fixed. So I cut back some of the insulation that is on the wire harness itself, exposing the ground wire that was not connected. And then I have some of the foil over here, which I can remove that because I don't need it. That's already connected, well, connected or wrapped with the ground itself. I have a piece of black wire here. I'm going to go ahead and slide it back a little bit. Go ahead and wrap it with the ground wire that is in question. I'm just adding the shielding shrink wrap tubing as a precaution. This way I don't run into any issues as far as it touching the shielding tape that I have around everything else. Alright, so that's it for all the soldering. I got the ground hooked up. Now it's time to put this back into the guitar. Get the wires moved around over here. Make sure they're not interfering with the function of the switch. And to feed this through. So I got a new towel down, just added precaution to keep this thing from getting all scratched up. I'm going to go ahead and start running these wires through here. And make sure that these are bent enough to where they're out of the way, but yet clear enough to fit in there without having any issues. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and feed this through. Flip this over. Stuck in there because of the shielding tape. Make sure that it's all flat and pushed down. Make sure I still have continuity. Yep. Okay, try this again. There was 2 washers on here, so I'm going to put those back. Turn this so it faces downward. Washers will drop into place. And right where I should be with this, I'm going to flip this over. Lock this on a little bit better than that. Okay, make sure I'm going to be straight over here. Keep it straight. Alright. Like this. Damage. We'll get the neck pickup. Make sure this is in the right way. Four smaller screws held that in. I'm not going to drive them all the way in until I get all the screws lined up. push this wire into the control cavity. And that's in place. Bridge pickup. That's in place. And put this wire in here. He's got 4 longer screws, which I'm actually surprised he didn't put all the same screws in here. They're different sizes. Alright, locate the holes. I'm not going to drive them in all the way yet. Don't over tighten these and crack the ring, the mount for the pickup. Alright, so that's that. Well, look how long that is. So that's bridge, that's neck, 3-way switch, that's ground. So I should still have continuity between these two. Yep, but I do. Make sure everything looks alright in here. Nothing has changed. Switch is free. Go ahead and put this circuit back in. All my washers and nuts, lock washers. Now what I've done is I doubled up on the lock washers inside of here in order to raise up the board, the circuit a little bit, so there's not so much of the shaft and the nut showing on the other side of the body. That way it makes it look a little bit more cleaner. I was going to just put a nut inside there with a lock washer, but it would be too much and I wouldn't be able to thread the nut on the other side in, so I decided just to go with two of the locking washers, which is fine. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. It should just slide right in. Any issues? Make sure that there's no loose washers in there. Put my washer on here. Put the nut on here. I like when it's only threading a few threads and not showing any of the threads sticking up. Let me get a better view of this so you can see what I mean. So I'd rather have the post sticking up a little bit where it's enough to put the washer on and put the nut on, and that gives you clearance for the knob, so you don't have to raise it back up again or anything else. So I'm going to tighten these up, mostly snugging them by hand first. So I don't know if I'm going to possibly have to take these off again. So that's done. Connect my wires. So first I'm going to plug in this 3-way switch. That's in place. And I got the neck pickup. That goes over here. And something to get a little bit of leverage on this plug. There we go. And last but not least, this is kind of a long wire, but I'll end up just putting it in here. And that is the bridge. Stuck in there. That's plugged in. Now I'm going to take my ground, push that back into place. Give you enough room to do anything over here. Alright, so I give it my needle nose pliers. Ground is secure. Check continuity for everybody. Alright, shielding. Switch. Ground for the bridge. Yeah, I think I've got it. So if I check on the edge of the pickup, or not the edge, but the screw for the adjustment, and then I hit the shielding, all grounded. Shielding to shielding, all grounded. Alright, so that should complete that. So now what I need to do is shield the inside covers, or back covers, shield the inside of them, and I'll do that right now. Try to get edge to edge. Make sure they're overlapping. Alright, now I get a new razor blade, so I need to trim off the excess on this. And what I'm going to do is ride the edge along the side of the cover. A little bit on an angle. Alright. Get the 4 screws, or 3 screws actually, that hold this in place. Get this lined up with the screw holes. I'm not going to be making new screw holes for this. 3. Good way to tell if you still have a good ground in this chamber over here. Put the continuity on. Shielding tape on this side and one of the screws on this side. I'm good. Alright, so I got to put the output jack in. Shield the cover. I'm going to plug it in without the strings on to see what kind of noise that I get. Alright, so I got the same amp, Katana, same settings, patch cord with no noise gate or anything on it. And if I turn the amp on, alright, she's lit up. I'm not touching any of the strings. I could put my body and my hand on the back of the body and it's not making any noises. Now the amp is kind of loud right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just strum it. So that's clean, and then if I pull the if I pull both humbuckers out, turn them into a single coil, they cancel themselves out. If I close one, you do get a little bit of noise. That's the fun part of changing a humbucker into a single coil. So right now I have it at bridge. So that's the only noise I get, is turning the humbucker into a single coil. The rest of it, she's working fine now, and there's no noise. I also have the hum no on here, just to get rid of the noise coming from the electrical outlet. So I would say that's a big difference compared to what it was before. And if I turn the volume off on the guitar, there's really no change or anything difference with the amp itself. So yeah, I think I've got it. I think.